Today on The Nation Speaks, it's taboo to say, but some people do have a bad reaction to the jab. So what's being done about it? Very little, according to Super Bowl champion Ken Rutgers, whose wife suffered a life-altering injury after her dose of Moderna. And on America Q&A, we ask if people should get fired for not being vaccinated if they have natural immunity. Next, a California doctor willing to lose everything to fight for medical freedom. Dr. Christopher Rake explains why. Finally, in our second America Q&A, are rising food and gas prices affecting you? Hello and welcome to The Nation Speaks. I'm your host, Cindy Drucker. All drugs can have side effects, from baby aspirin to hand sanitizer. Just look at the warning labels and you'll see them listed. Those unwanted reactions get discovered because all new drugs have to go through rigorous testing before they can get approved, and that includes small and then larger human trials. So it shouldn't be surprising that some people, even if it's a small number, have bad reactions to COVID-19 vaccines. After all, the drugs are new and they were rolled out for emergency use prior to full approval. Given all of that, we would expect that the government and the drug companies would want to study closely anyone who does have a bad reaction. But that has not been the experience of our guest, Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer Ken Rutgers. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Cindy. It's great to be with you.
So, as an former offensive tackle, now you're being forced to tackle the healthcare system to help your wife, who had a severe neurological reaction to her COVID vaccination. Can you start by telling us what exactly happened to Cheryl after she got her first dose of the Moderna vaccine?
Yeah, so she took the first dose and within 48 hours started to have extremely swollen lymph nodes and glands. And then within a few days after that started having pain, tingling, and numbness in her face and her scalp. And then a few days after that, it started spreading to her arms and legs. And so that was in January. And she still has those same symptoms today.
What has she been diagnosed with?
She's been officially diagnosed with small fiber neuropathy. So they were able to do some tests, but she's been through so many blood tests and MRIs to try to find, through her neurologist, to try to find what is causing this problem. And so she does have that diagnosis, but it's still a bit of a mystery.
And so briefly, how does that affect her daily life? What's changed in the last 10 months?
Yeah, so when she took the shot, the reason she was in the early rollout in January is because she's in the social services area and she's working on her master's. So she was working to get her hours to get licensed. And so she had to cut way back on her hours. She used to be very athletic, energetic, exercise. She's had to cut back from, say, a very brisk 5-mile walk to a very slow 1-mile walk a day if she can muster putting a few in a row.
And as I understand it, she's not alone in having these reactions. Can you tell us how she discovered that?
Yeah, well, she was doing some research because it was new and a lot of the doctors, they didn't have a clue. So she got online and she found a doctor who had taken the shot in January and had posted a response to a Neurology Today online article. And this group found each other and they formed a private Facebook group and continued to build. Within a few short months, they were far exceeding over 150 people, and other Facebook groups started growing, hundreds and then thousands. And by June, there were 4,000 to 5,000 people that have found each other on Facebook in different groups.
Wow, okay, so that's a lot of people. And, as I said in the intro, one would expect that the FDA, CDC, the drug companies would be studying your wife and everyone else very closely to see what the impacts of this brand new drug are. Has that been happening?
Well, we thought that we could contact the FDA. I think we naively thought that all we needed to do is let them know that these conditions existed, and certainly they would want to study these folks and try to find a remedy. Kind of a if you break it, you fix it kind of a deal. I mean, these people had a lot of them had been in the original trials and were putting themselves out for the betterment of all of us, to try to get beyond the pandemic. And they kind of ended up as collateral damage. And so, they drew the short straw. Like you said earlier, Cindy, a small percentage are affected. And we thought, well, certainly if the FDA and CDC knew, well, certainly they would study and help and let the medical community know that these neurological reactions do exist. But we have been unsuccessful in getting them to help us in that way.
So you've put together a website, and you've collected how many people you yourself have interviewed or uploaded their testimonials. How big is that group?
Yeah, so we have a website that I helped create because they were concerned about, Facebook canceling the group and wanted to, have a space that was safe. And we have well over 500 written stories of people that shared their testimonies. I've conducted at least a couple dozen video interviews, and we also have testimonies from people in the medical profession about what they're seeing too: nurses, PAs, doctors, first responders. So it's pretty amazing what we've been able to put together as a resource for people who have found themselves in the same desert on the same journey, including an area of scientific research and journal articles. So
basically, you have handed to the CDC, FDA on a silver platter all of the information that they would need to study what's going on, and still not interested. Is that right?
Well, we've had a couple of Zoom meetings with some of the administrators at the top of the FDA and have not been able to get any traction or response or help from them. So it's been a surprising barrier to getting these people help.
And what about their medical expenses? Any help there?
No, and if you take these experimental vaccines, then you're not covered. It's kind of a buyer beware at your own risk if you get injured, at least right now. And we're trying to get Congress to put a bill together that would at least try to make these people whole financially. Some of them have had to sell their house or take out a mortgage in order to pay for medical expenses. It's just crazy.
So what do you make of all of this? The fact there also hasn't been a lot of media coverage. There was a press conference that you were part of with Senator Ron Johnson at the end of June, and that got a little blip of publicity. I haven't seen a whole lot since. What do you make of this lack of interest?
Well, I mean, I think, as you know, the news cycles, they move so fast and they're on to the next big story. We did get some traction in a couple of different spots, but I think there have also been a lot of opportunities where we've talked to reporters and they were very excited about reporting the news, and they got nixed by their editor or producer or editor. So it's been quite an eye-opening experience about through this journey for sure.